that there is no prohibition. I cannot tell you the number of times that I've gone to a member of county commission or to a chairman or to a mayor or to a city councilman and said, hey, help me out here. Tell me what y'all were talking about behind closed doors. And be told, Jim, I can't tell you, I'm not allowed to. I'd be in trouble. I'd run afoul of the law. I'd be breaking the law if I told you. I'd be breaking the law if I told you what we talked about in executive session. What I want you to understand is there is no prohibition. Our friend David Hudson, I think, fired a shot across the bow last year. And he made some public comments and conducted some interviews that we popularized. It probably did more than anything else, really, to grow and to put the transparency project on the map. And we had newspapers all across the state of Georgia pick it up, and had people call into right and left wanting to know about it. Sean Ireland at Georgia Press picked it up, and Sean said that very few things that Georgia Press had ever pushed out had ever gotten as much attention as this comment from David Hudson. And David said that the problem is that too many public officials misunderstand 45.10.3. And basically what that law says is that a public official cannot divulge proprietary information or divulge information for personal gain. And David said, at what point can a local code of ethics, at what point could an affidavit, or at what point could your relationship to a commission or a council upon which you sit circumvent your First Amendment rights? Now, for a long time, I had a hard time understanding the relationship between the First Amendment and government transparency. And it always amused me because people a lot of times speak about the First Amendment, our freedom of the press and our freedom of speech and our freedom of religion and our right to peaceably assemble and to address government for a redress of our, petition government for redress of our grievances. And I thought, well, you know, we call freedom of information and government transparency the same thing, but this is one way that they are inextricably tied together. And that is just because somebody talked about something in executive session behind closed doors, making a backroom deal, does not mean, if they believe it is in the public interest, that they are somehow muzzled and cannot speak to you, to me, to the media, or to anyone else. There is no sort of giving up of one's First Amendment rights simply by virtue of the fact that they sit on a county commission or that they sit on a city council. Now, good luck getting somebody to break ranks. Right? Good luck getting a commissioner willing to come out and say, okay, Jim, I'm going to tell you what. I don't agree with what they did in there, and I'm going to spill the beans. But there are good people out there that believe in right things. And maybe all of us can work really harder to build relationships with government, so that every contact that we have with government is not adversarial. Every conversation that we have with a commissioner or with a council member is not combative. Because eventually somebody's going to do it. The very chairman that said to me, Jim, I legally can't tell you what happened, busted a case wide open in Henry County based on information that he shared about things that were going on behind closed doors that were done dirty. And here's the other question about it. How can somebody be legally prohibited from talking about something that goes on in executive session that is not legally privileged? And if you don't think they're talking about things behind closed doors that they are not legally allowed to. You're naive. Because they are. Because they interpret the law in the broadest way possible. The state of Georgia says that the presumption should always be toward openness. Now you can take those words any way you want to. Here's what I think that means. And our lawyer can tell us whether or not she agrees with this. I think that means that the law should be interpreted as narrowly as possible. I don't agree with our executive session privilege, obviously. But it should be interpreted as narrowly as possible.